Hello and welcome to Next Point Wins. I am your host, Matthew Geely. Welcome into the turntable. It is freezing cold outside. I know it's a miserable day to try to walk to class. Got about half an inch of snow on the ground. That's not awesome. It's like 20 degrees. That's not awesome. But hey, you know what is awesome? Next Point Wins is back. After a week off, we are back after Thanksgiving break and ready for the home stretch here as we get close to the end of the fall semester here. So go inside, grab a cup of coffee, grab a blanket, sit on down, get comfortable, get into class, sit down, pull out that notebook and pencil, act like you're going to pay attention, throw in the headphones, and let's have some fun here for the next hour. Nothing but sports coming up. 10 to 11 a.m. We got unsportsmanlike conduct. We have Purdue football recap. We got Purdue basketball tonight. We have NFL, college football playoff, Big Ten ACC challenge. There's so much to talk about. It's a very exciting time of year because you have a lot that's going on and a lot that's going to happen here coming up. I want to start with the most recent, so we'll start with tonight. Purdue basketball. Take it on Florida State at Florida State. It's a 9:15 start on ESPN2. Boilermakers come in at 5-1 with their one lonely loss being in the Charleston Classic against Virginia Tech. Florida State comes in at 5-1. Their only loss being the first game of the year, a 6-point loss to Villanova. This is a really good Florida State team, and this is a really tough stretch of games for Purdue as they go from Florida State to Michigan to play them Saturday afternoon at Michigan, 7th-ranked Michigan. And then you're home back in Mackey Arena for 24th-ranked Maryland. And then you're back on the road to take on number 17 Texas, December 9th. And then you go down to Indy in the Crossroads Classic, which has proven to be a difficult event for us. And you take on Notre Dame. That is a brutal stretch over these next 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. Brutal stretch. Then you get to come home. Then you get to come back home, and you get Ohio. Then you get a pretty sneaky good Belmont team, but still not to the caliber of those. And if you want to know what your team is made of, you're gonna know after these next 5 games. And then if there's any question about what kind of team we are, I hate to look too far ahead, but it's just worth pointing out. January 3rd, 8th, and 11th. We are home against ranked Iowa, at Michigan State, at Wisconsin. Our schedule has like pockets of really difficult games along the way, and then pockets of light games, and it's not very balanced. It's going to be very interesting to see how we can shape up, and trust me, we're going to know if we got a tournament team, if we have a team who's really going to contend in the Big Ten over these next couple weeks. I'm excited to see it, and it starts tonight. And Florida State's a really tough place to play. They play really well at home. Home field advantage is really good for them. They come in at 4.5-point favorites, and their leading scorer is number 14, Terrence Mann. Averages 12 points a game. He also is their leading rebounder. Comes in at 6'7". He's a guard, senior. You look at this Florida State team, and they had the tough game against Villanova where they lost by 6. They won at home against LSU in overtime. Whooped on UAB, and then whooped on 2 other teams that I don't even recognize. So they haven't played a lot of tough games. Their non-conference schedule, aside from Villanova and LSU, has been fairly weak, I would say. They beat a good Florida team, and they beat a good LSU team and a good Villanova team. I mean, that's not exactly awesome. So we'll see what the Boilermakers can bring to the table tonight. Had a nice routing of Robert Morris right before Thanksgiving. Or was that after Thanksgiving? That was right after Thanksgiving. Beat up on Robert Morris. So that Virginia Tech loss still hurts. Saw them go down to at Penn State last night in a game that they should have won. They had multiple opportunities, and that's something that I noticed. I watched a lot of basketball last night, a lot of different games. I was knee-deep in the Big Ten ACC Challenge. There's a lot of teams. I know it's early in the year, and it takes some time to find out who your go-to guys are. There are a lot of teams with really bad plays at the end of games. Bad turnovers, bad shots, bad lack of shots. You can tell these teams don't have like their go-to guy. They don't have their go-to play to where when they have 4 seconds left and you got to get down the court and get a shot up. It was shocking, some of the play. Michigan State made a mess at the end of their game. And I still sit here and I don't understand what they were doing. And looking at Tom Izzo, Coach Izzo, and the way he was looking at his player, he didn't know what was happening either because they were down 3. The player missed the first free throw. So you can either make it or miss on purpose or miss. You can either try to make it or miss on purpose. I'm in the camp that you should be trying to make the free throw because I just feel like the probability, you see it happen all the time and it just never seems to work out where you purposefully miss. Everybody in the gym knows you're going to purposefully miss and you don't get the rebound and you foul and it's over. I'm under the camp that you should make the free throw, DM up, foul at the inbounds, and then make them make 2 to put you out of the game. If they make 1, you still down 3 and you got a shot for the win. If they make them both, okay, they made them both and you're out. Come to find out, Louisville player missed the first free throw, made the second, and they were still out of the game. Louisville with a nice home win, a signature win for their new coach in OT against Sparty. Big Ten comes in tonight, 5 losses, 3 wins. So it's 5-3 in favor of the ACC. If you're curious on who did their weight, I can tell you. As far as last night goes, not great. Couple really bad showings, in my opinion. And one really, really bad showing. But the first night, it was Nebraska beat Clemson. It's a pretty good Nebraska team. Nebraska comes in at 6-1, 1-0 on the road. That's a good team. That was their first road game. And at Clemson's not an easy place to play. They got that James Palmer Jr. They got some good guards. Nebraska's going to be a tough team. That's a tough out all year. Probably a tournament team, in my opinion, if they can withstand injuries throughout the Big Ten. So Nebraska got their win. Minnesota got curb stomped by Boston College. And then last night, teams that did their job, Penn State with that upset win over Virginia Tech. Iowa held on to beat Pittsburgh by 1. And this is saying Wisconsin won. I had another site that was telling me Wisconsin lost. Wisconsin won by 4. So that makes it 4-4. Big Ten ACC Challenge. 4-4. Check. So Wisconsin took care of business at home, barely, to NC State. Teams that lost. Illinois lost to Notre Dame. Michigan State lost to Louisville. And then teams that got curb stomped and beaten into submission. Duke beat Indiana 90-69. Yikes. Zion, 25 points. Leading scorer for IU, some guy by the name of Evan Fitzner. 12 points, 5 rebounds, 1 steal. Never heard of him. So, Boiler Ball has a chance to help out the cause tonight. Other games in the Big Ten ACC Challenge tonight. Ohio State at home against Syracuse. That's advantage Big Ten. So that's 1. You got to get 8. We're at 4. We need 4 more. So Ohio State, that should be 1. Rutgers, Miami. That's definitely advantage Miami. So 1-1. Virginia, Maryland. Sneaky, tough game. Number 4, Virginia at 24, Maryland. Maryland gets them at home. That's going to be a good eye test to see, okay, what's this Maryland team really like before they come to Mackey Arena next week. That's going to be a good game to watch. That's at 7:30 on ESPN. I'm definitely tuning into that one before the Purdue game. That'll be a good game. Then you got us, which technically it's advantage Florida State. Then you have Northwestern at home against Georgia Tech. That's advantage Northwestern. And you have Michigan at home against North Carolina. Another great game to close out the night. That might be a dual TV night if you're really into the Big Ten basketball scene. Get the Boilers on the big one and get Michigan, North Carolina. That's an ESPN 9:30 start. 11th ranked North Carolina, 7th ranked Michigan. Michigan looking phenomenal so far this year. So if I had to guess, if I was a predicting man, I would say we get Michigan, we get Northwestern, we get Purdue, we get Ohio State. That's 4. That gets us the title. So really, I mean, Virginia, Maryland will all be done. If Maryland has won that game, we're sitting pretty to win the challenge. Now, you might think, do we really care if we win the challenge? No, I guess not, but it just seems like the Big Ten gets bullied on all year, every year in any sport. So it'd be kind of nice to get one against the ACC, the power conference, so to speak. So, yeah, it would be nice. It'd be nice to win it. But you have to look and see, okay, if Ohio State takes care of business, Rutgers gets beat, Virginia, Maryland, I could go either way. We could be going into the evening thinking, okay, Purdue must win for us to get this challenge. Because Northwestern will get the job done, hopefully. And Michigan, that's another toss-up, though. So Purdue and Michigan are both in some toss-up games that could go either way. And Maryland's a toss-up, too. So it's a good night of basketball. Definitely tune in. And we'll definitely rehash this game and the Michigan game next week on the show. We'll have a lot to talk about when it comes to basketball. All right. Let's talk about Purdue football. You're up, you're down. You're up, you're down. You're up, you beat Ohio State, you're on top of the world. You're down. Now where are you? That's an easy question, because we went into Saturday wondering, what are we? Are we going to be 5-6 with one beautiful win over Ohio State and sitting at home watching bowl games? Or are we going to be 6-6 with a beautiful win over Ohio State, owners of the bucket, going bowling? Thank goodness we're the latter. Purdue football is going bowling. Purdue football beat IU 28-21 in a game where, I'm going to be honest, I never felt nervous. IU did some very IU-related things that just, it was almost comical. And it's stuff that, to be honest, I've seen Purdue do a lot this year, and I was kind of happy to sit back and watch another team kind of shoot themselves in the foot with the personal fouls and the late hits out of bounds and pass interferences down the field, turning the ball over. Boilermakers kind of stood the test and were in control the whole game. They led the whole game. IU tried to make a late push with the garbage touchdown at the end of the game. It really should have been 28-14 final, but who cares? It's all the same. 28-21, Purdue wins it. David Blau, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Their guy on the other side, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Blau throws for 310 yards. The big story, though, and he always seems to show up when we take on IU because he's an Indiana boy, grew up just outside of Bloomington. Markel Jones, 11 carries, 95 yards, and a touchdown. He ran hard all day. He got good yards all day. He averaged 8 yards a carry, and he had a huge touchdown late to seal the deal. Receiving, Rondale Moore did what Rondale Moore can do and will do against teams like IU for years to come, because IU has nobody on that side that can match up with him, and it showed. 12 receptions, 141 yards, 2 scores. Defensively, Navon Mosley, Mr. Mosley, had a great game with 10 total tackles, 9 solo, 1 hurry. Brennan Thieneman showed up today, or Saturday, 9 tackles. Kenneth Major had 8, Barnes with 8, Bailey with 7, and a sack. Giovanni Revere also had a sack. And Simeon Smiley had a tackle for loss. So, we go bowling. Now, where are we going? Biggest 2 places I've been reading and seeing and predicted by everybody smarter than me who understands how bowl games work have us either pretty much flip-flop with Minnesota. So it's like Minnesota's in one of these areas and we're in the other. And then it's flipped on different websites. So it's either going to be, well, I should say that, but It could be. Let's put it this way: if Northwestern beats Ohio State this weekend, it all gets flipped upside down, and there's a lot of games that it's. I don't know how to explain it because I don't get it myself, but it's like each conference gets a certain amount of games in a certain amount of areas, and then certain bowls have to have this conference team in it, or like, and other bowls can have this conference or this conference. So it just depends on where you finish. It all depends on where you finish. So I say these are the two most likely. It doesn't mean you should go out and buy hotels in these two and buy airfare. And I would wait. I mean, I don't know. These are the two most likely, though. It's New York City Pinstripe Bowl, and it's Detroit in the, I think it's Little Caesars now, Little Caesars Pizza Bowl. As far as traveling goes, Detroit would be better, I guess. It's inside, which is nice, so you don't have to be freezing cold. New York City will be freezing cold. It'll be a cool place. I mean, you're playing at Yankee Stadium. I mean, that's cool, but, I mean, that's a tough travel for anybody to go to. Who will we face? That's really up in the air. Could be a Big East team. It could be anybody. So it's really hard to tell. That will be announced Sunday or Monday. I think it's Sunday. Sunday night they announce the bowls. So we'll know soon enough. Well, I'm going to pat myself on the back because I've made it 17 minutes into the show without mentioning probably the biggest elephant in the room. So all you students here on campus in class and listening around the country on the podcast, how you doing? How you feeling? How are we doing? Are we spending 14 hours a day on Twitter refreshing, looking for Jeff Brom news? Are we taking Uncle Matt's advice and not believing anything until we hear it from the horse's mouth himself or Purdue football? Or are we somewhere in the middle where we enjoy kind of scrolling and seeing everybody freaking out, but we understand that at the moment he's the coach of the Purdue Boilermakers, and until somebody says otherwise, that's what it is? How we doing? Yesterday, yes, Coach Brom, he was in Louisville. Purdue football tweeted out I found it funny, but I also know the people who work for Purdue football on Twitter and have seen them post before, so maybe I'm biased, but they put out a nice little graphic of Coach Brom on one of the local TV stations in Louisville. Now I can't find it, which is weird, but he was on. Maybe they retweeted it. I don't care. Who cares? So he was in Louisville. Everybody and their mothers reporting that he talked with Louisville's AD. Probably did. I don't know why you'd go all the way there to not. Did he make a decision? No. Nope. Haven't heard a decision yet. I don't know what this means. I'm going to be honest. I'm not trying to speak in code or be careful about what I say. I don't know what this means. I don't know what he's thinking, what he's going to do. He had some great words to say about Purdue after the game and how much the future is bright and how he wants to be a part of it. And he's out recruiting right now for the Boilermakers. He was in Florida. He's all over the place trying to find the next great Purdue football players to help strengthen this roster and make this roster deeper for years to come. So that's all I can say, and that's all I really know at this moment. But I hope that everybody out there is doing okay. I hope we are all hanging in there. We got the bucket. We're going bowling. Other teams in this state aren't because of us. And there's a lot to be excited about. And I wouldn't waste my time reading everything that a fake Purdue site has to say about where he's going, when he's going there, and how he's going to get there. Because right now he's the coach of the Purdue Boilermakers, and until that changes, that's what it is. All right. That was 3 minutes. I'm going to pat myself on the back again because that was brief. That was to the point. And that's exactly what we need to hear, okay? We're going to step out for a quick break. When we come back, we got college football playoff talk, NFL, unsportsmanlike conduct coming up. Welcome back to Next Point Wins. I am your host, Matthew Geely. If you want to contact the show, you can at nextptwins@gmail.com. So WCCR Purdue, if you listen on the Tuned In app, hello, welcome. Live listeners around the campus and around the country. Tuned In, you can take it anywhere you want to go, anywhere around the nation. Just go on, find their app, search WCCR Purdue. It'll pop up. It's a WCCR logo with yellow and blue. You click that, and you're listening live to this beautiful voice on this very chilly day in West Lafayette, Indiana. So go check it out. If you can't make the show and you can't listen live, I don't blame you. It's early, and people have things to do. So what do? You go to YouTube. Search Next Point Wins. That's where you'll find the most recent episodes, and then scroll down and you can see every episode I've ever done, starting with some really, really bad episodes where I had no idea what I'm doing, and then working my way up to some decent episodes where I still don't know what I'm doing. Check it out at YouTube, Next Point Wins. Also, if you're more of a SoundCloud snob and you're like, oh my God, I only listen to SoundCloud, okay, fine. Go to SoundCloud. You can find the most recent episode on SoundCloud. Now, can you find old episodes on SoundCloud? No. Why? Because there's no sponsors for this show. And why is that important? Because it costs money to go on SoundCloud. And what don't we have? Money. So you can find the most recent one, and then it gets deleted within the next week. So listen quick. It's an hour. Enjoy it. I'm going to do a new segment, I think, coming up next week because it's fun. I get great emails and I get great DMs on Twitter. Not like DMs like I'm going to slide into your DM. More like DMs like listeners of the show who want to tell me something about the show. And I think I'm going to start a new segment because I get enough of them now where we can do where are you listening to Next Point Wins at? This is brand new. I don't have any music for it, but we'll find music for it, and we'll find little corny bits to do with it. You know what? Speaking of corny bits, I think this is worthy of a Brainy Bunch special report. The guys in the back have been kind of working on this for weeks, and you know, I haven't really mentioned the guys in the back much this season, and I don't know if that's because their work ethic has been down or because I just don't remember to remember them. But I mean, they're the hardest working guys in showbiz, and they just go. And this is their newest segment, and we can't do it this week because I'm not ready. I'll give you a couple teasers, but we'll definitely start it here coming up next week. Here's a Brainy Bunch special report.
It's time
for another Brainy Bunch special report. The mission of the Brainy Bunch is not to break news, but to bunch it.
Here's the story.
All right, Brainy Bunch special report coming from the brainy kids in the back. It's where are you listening to Next Point Wins now? This is something that I've heard, and send them in to me, tweet them at me, email them to me. Where are you currently sitting when you're listening to this podcast? Because I found out that people listen to podcasts in the weirdest places. For instance, working out. Now, don't get me wrong. I can pump somebody up while they're working out if I need to, but I'm not really trying to during this hour-long show. So I'm kind of concerned that somebody is getting enough motivation. You get it. Get that rep. Get it. Breathe. Get it up. Boom. Nice. Good lift. See, somebody's getting their reps like that, and I'm just sitting here talking sports and random crap I think of. So that's a weird one for me. Another weird one that I've heard, and this is no joke, a kid, he emailed me, I think it was episode 2 this year. I don't remember his name. I'd have to go back through the emails, and I don't have time to do that right now. This is why this segment's not ready. So I'm just saying this is your last teaser, and then next week we'll really be prepared and we'll get it going. But I was just too excited not to share. His name I think was Josh, and everybody always starts out with I'm Josh from so and so, and that's great. That's what I like because then I can talk to you and you know, like, it's not just any Josh. When I say it's Josh from Zionsville, you know it's you, Josh. Anyways, so Josh was outside because it was still warm. It was like second episode. He was like, hey, this is Josh from Zionsville. Out here listening to the podcast, working on my car. Really, really love it. And then he asked me a question about Purdue or something. And I'm thinking to myself, there's not many things you can do on your car that aren't like loud, like drilling or starting the car. How could he hear me? I guess you could say headphones, but I don't know if that's the smartest thing. And also, I have respect for people who like do their own mechanic work. I think it's becoming less and less of a thing. And you might be thinking to yourself, wow, this segment really is going to stink because that made no sense and neither does any of this. I agree. It's a work in progress. The Brainy Bunch kids are working on it. It'll be ready next week. Brainy Bunch special report.
The Brainy Bunch. We don't break news. We bunch it.
You got that right, Mitchie. We bunch it. All right. Moving on, let's talk college football playoff to finish off our college football talk. New rankings were released last night, and now we're getting to the time of the year where this is actually pertinent information. Ooh, good word, pertinent. Where it's go time. Like all these conference championship games, they're going to matter, and now we're going to find out who's in, who's out, the top four. Now, I've been a 4 guy since this playoff thing started. I will say that I'm inching towards wanting to be an 8-ist, an 8-team playoff guy, because somebody's going to get this year, at least 2 teams are going to get left out that probably deserve to have a shot to knock off somebody at the top. Now, I don't know all the logistics on how to make it an 8-ist or an 8-team playoff because, I'm not that smart, just like I don't know bowl games. But I'm sure there's somebody out there that has it figured out. I know I saw a couple of brackets that like had your first round games or at like the better seeds home field, which would be really cool. Another one had taken out conference. I don't know how you do it without taking out conference championship games, but I'd prefer it if we didn't. Why can't we keep conference championship games, but take out a stupid week at the beginning of the season? Like a stupid non-conference game. Why can't we take that out and add another game in the playoff? I guess the argument that's made is, well, if you take out a game, only 8 teams get an extra game, and then not everybody else gets to play. I get that, but there's got to be a way to keep the conference championship games and still add a bowl game for these select teams. And you know what? Here's the biggest thing. I just figured it out. I just talked it out in my own head. And this is, show me a team. All right, I'm going to put every team on the table, and I'm going to have a representative from every single team. And I'm going to say, hypothetically, if you make it to the 8-team college football playoff, are you willing to play an extra game? And if you find somebody who says, no, we would prefer not to be in the college football playoff, that team should just be relegated out of the NCAA. They should have to go and play in Canada or something. You know what? No, send them to, Canada's fine. You're going to Canada. Like if I'm Purdue's representative and they're like, hey, so a lot of teams ahead of you guys were like, we don't really want to play an extra game, so we're going to just take ourselves out of the college football playoff and a chance to win the BCS National Championship game. Would you guys like to be in it? Yeah. Yep. Yes, we would. Okay, it's one game. It's one game. And you might think, okay, but then when does 1 come 2 when you go to 16 teams? I get it. There has to be a cutoff, but I think that 4 isn't the cutoff. I think 8 is the cutoff. And then in a couple years, I'll become a 16ist, and we'll go up even more. But until then, come on. We can go to 8. Anyways, so top 4, it's Alabama, it's Clemson, it's Notre Dame, it's Georgia. It's not going to be that at the end of the year. Alabama plays Georgia. Sitting on the outside looking in, 5th-ranked Oklahoma, 6th-ranked Ohio State. And I'm going to start there because it's not very often I'm right on this show. I'm serious. It's not very often I get something right. And I called it back before the Maryland game. I said this Ohio State team feels to me like a team that's going to run the table, beat Michigan, win the Big Ten championship game, and still get in the playoff. And that is why I was telling all these Ohio State fans to just relax. You still control your own destiny. Now, do you control your own destiny? I thought they'd be ahead of Oklahoma. I'm going to be honest. So their road to getting in the playoff looks a little more murky. But let's start with what they did last week. Just beating to submission Michigan. How about that, Bob and Cromwell? Huh? I was happy for you. I was thinking about you when I was watching the game, and then I had to go to a wedding, so I didn't get to catch the end of it. And when I got out of the wedding and I saw the final score, I couldn't believe how much they beat Michigan. They beat Michigan from start to finish. There was a little spurt there that I saw right before half that I was like, oh no, you just completely let Michigan back in the game. But then you came out in the second half and you said, we're going to get back to what we do. They ran the ball effectively. Haskins was great. They took care of the football. Defense showed up, and they showed every flaw Michigan could possibly have, and they executed and just destroyed them. That was Michigan's game. I mean, that's Coach Harbaugh's legacy at Michigan. That's everything on the line with everything to play for coming up, and they just absolutely folded. And it was really fun to watch. I was a fan of it. I was rooting for Ohio State, and now I'm rooting for Ohio State to beat Northwestern. I really am. It makes Purdue's win look better, and I think that, I mean, I'm not an Urban Meyer guy, but I don't know how they get in the playoff. That's my only thing, because I thought they would be ahead of Oklahoma. Oklahoma being 5 and them being 6 is tough, because now you need Oklahoma to lose to Texas in a rematch game where Oklahoma is going to be heavily favored. Texas has a defense. Oklahoma doesn't. I get that, but that offense is looking so good right now, and Kyler Murray is playing so well right now. So I don't know how Oklahoma loses that game. Another way this thing turns upside down and becomes absolutely chaotic is Georgia beating Alabama. Okay? Stay with me. So Alabama 1, Clemson 2, Notre Dame 3, Georgia 4. Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame undefeated. Notre Dame not playing any games. Congratulations. You make the playoff, even though you're soft for not playing in a conference and having to play a conference championship game. Okay, moving on. So right now to date, Ohio State has the best win of anybody on this list. Ohio State does, beating Michigan. That is the best win anybody has. When that changes, when either Alabama beats Georgia or Georgia beats Alabama. Either way, that becomes the best win on the schedule for anybody. So they have it for now, but they won't keep it. Georgia beats Alabama. Georgia then becomes 12-1, and they are in. I mean, they're 4 right now. That makes them even better. They're in. Alabama goes to 12-1. Let's say Oklahoma and Ohio State both win. 12-1, 12-1. So now you have 3 teams at 12-1 with 1 spot. Chaos. Absolute chaos. Now, easy answer, Alabama. It is. It's the easy answer. I don't know how they keep them out. And I say that, and it's not fair that I say that, but that's the truth. I don't know how they keep them out. So that leaves both Oklahoma and Ohio State on the wrong side of things. So then you have to ask yourself, okay, if I'm an Oklahoma and Ohio State fan, what am I rooting for? Let's start with Oklahoma. That's easy. I'm rooting for Oklahoma to win, and I'm rooting for Georgia to lose. Now I come in the 4th spot. I get a date with Alabama. I get curb stomped by Alabama. I go home, but I made the playoff. Yay for me. If I'm Ohio State, I'm rooting for Ohio State to win. I need Oklahoma and Georgia to lose. So much tougher road, but still possible. I think if Oklahoma wins, I don't know how you leapfrog them. Their only loss coming to Texas, and Ohio State's only loss coming to yours truly, Purdue. So I don't know how they get above them without them losing. Is it bad that I don't even know who Clemson plays? Oh, Pittsburgh. You know what, Clemson? You might as well be Notre Dame, because holy smokes, that ACC was easy. Clemson's in. Notre Dame's in. Those are locks. Now, if we're going to talk about absolute chaos, absolute madness, it would be Pittsburgh somehow, a 7-5 Pittsburgh team somehow beating Clemson. And then I don't know what happens with any of this. But let's just stick to what we think is going to happen. Alabama, Georgia, that one's going to be closer than you think. Still think Alabama has, well, obviously Alabama has the edge. I think Alabama wins that game. I think Clemson wins. Notre Dame's locked. The top 3 are locked. That 4th spot gets difficult. If I was a gambling man, I'd put my money on Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma has the best chance to make the playoff at this moment, and I know it's kind of funny to say, thinking that Georgia currently is already in the playoff, but I don't see Georgia beating Alabama, and if they don't beat Alabama, I don't see how they get in. Because between Oklahoma or Ohio State, one of them is going to win, and then they get to leapfrog them because that's 2 losses versus 1 loss. So, Georgia, you're in a tough situation. Oklahoma, looking good. To be honest, I'd put Ohio State in a better situation than Georgia right now. Only because they have to play Alabama, and you can't lose. If you lose, you're out. Now you're thinking to yourself, okay, but we can control our own destiny. Yeah, but destiny is staring down Alabama, and everybody and their mother has shown that they can't handle Alabama. So I don't know how it's different for Georgia. So, here's where my 8th philosophy comes into play. Let's just look down. This is just as it's ranked by college football playoff rankings. Alabama 1, Clemson 2, Notre Dame 3, Georgia 4, Oklahoma 5, Ohio State 6th, Michigan 7th, UCF 8th. So I could have matchups UCF against Alabama at Alabama. Put your money where your mouth is, UCF. Take them on. Michigan at Clemson. That would be a great game. Ohio State at Notre Dame. That would be a great game. And then Oklahoma at Georgia. Would you rather watch that first round matchups this weekend? Would you rather watch that, or would you rather watch Oklahoma take on Texas, UCF take on Memphis, Alabama take on Georgia, Clemson take on Pittsburgh, and Ohio State take on Northwestern? I guess now that I think about it, I don't know if we need the conference championship games. The only reason we need them is for teams like Texas, Northwestern, Memphis, Pittsburgh. Teams like that who don't have a shot to get in the playoff because they're not good enough this year, who still have something to play for playing for a championship game in your conference. So for those 4 teams in this situation, I get why we're playing these games. I get it. But for UCF, Michigan, and then whichever 2 get stuck out, Georgia, Oklahoma, or Ohio State, I could see why they are like, we want to play in this playoff, and we want to go and do an 8-team playoff bracket. So I don't know where it's going to end is money. It always does. We could talk about player safety. We can talk about this, that, and the other thing. It always boils down to money. If there's more money to be made in an 8-team playoff bracket, that's where we're going to go. If it's better to stay in the conference championship games, that's what we'll stay. If I had to guess, we're going to go to the 8-team playoff. I don't know if it's going to be next year, but it's soon. I think it is soon. Predictions for my picks for the weekend. Utah against Washington for the Pac-12. That's Friday night, 8 p.m. I'll take Washington. Utah's shown that they're pretty good, but Washington runs the ball really well, and they had a nice win over Washington State last week. I'll take Washington. Texas, Oklahoma, Big 12 championship game in Dallas, Jerry World, noon, ABC, Saturday. I'll take Oklahoma 30. No, it's Oklahoma. 42-37. Oklahoma. Alabama, Georgia. Give me Alabama by 4. Yeah, close game. Low-scoring game, close game. Alabama gets them by 4. Basically meaning that Oklahoma. Sorry, I paused there because somebody called the phone, and I'm not allowed to take phone calls. We've been instructed. There's some, I guess, let's put it this way. A couple weeks ago, this is a quick story. A couple weeks ago, there was a couple other shows in here who were taking phone calls, and they weren't very nice phone calls, and so everybody got them taken away before I could even get started because no one had told me that the phones were working. And then I guess it started ringing and people were getting phone calls, and it's hard to do phone calls on a college campus because it's college kids. I get that. I think we would have been a mature enough audience to be able to figure it out, but I guess in this situation, no. So anyways, whoever just called, if you're really listening to the show, sorry. Email me your question. I'll get to it, or tweeter it to me, and I'll answer. Whatever. So I think Oklahoma gets in. I think Oklahoma is the team that gets in. So that's let's see. So I took Washington. I took Oklahoma. I took Alabama. Northwestern, Ohio State. Give me the Buckeyes. They're gonna get a nice bowl game, but they don't get in the playoff, unfortunately, unless craziness happens, which crazier things have happened. Give me Ohio State by at least 14. I don't think Northwestern can really stay with them. And then my special pick has got to be Purdue basketball tonight. Give me the Boilers. Tough stretch, but we're going to get it done. Purdue by 6. Boilers by 6. Hit some free throws at the end to get it to 6. Purdue wins. All right. We're going to get to unsportsmanlike conduct. We'll do that right now, and then we will finish off with some NFL talk. So, here it is, unsportsmanlike conduct.
And now, on unsportsmanlike conduct.
Personal foul, number 15, unsportsmanlike conduct.
That's a horrible call!
So, I have unsportsmanlike conduct right before we talk NFL because it's an NFL crazy unsportsmanlike conduct. All three that I have are NFL. Let's start with the most recent because I was shocked when I saw this pop up on my screen last night. Washington Redskins sign ex-49ers linebacker Reuben Foster, who is put on the commissioner's exempt list for a domestic violence, misdemeanor domestic violence charge. It was 3 days after he was arrested. So he was arrested, and 3 days later, the Redskins pick him up after the Niners drop him. Niners waived him on Tuesday. He was picked up Tuesday night, same day. Right when he was picked up by the Redskins, he was placed on the commissioner's exempt list, meaning he cannot practice or attend games, but he can still be at the team facility on a reasonable basis for workouts, meetings, and other permitted non-football activities. NFL is reviewing the matter. Washington's decision to claim Foster was not unanimous. This is all reported by John Keim. Washington's decision to claim Foster was not unanimous, a source said. I hate source. Anyways. And there is no guarantee Foster will ever play for the team. Here's the direct quote. The Redskins fully understand the severity of the recent allegations made against Reuben. If true, you can be sure these allegations are nothing our organization will ever condone. Let me be clear. Reuben will have to go through numerous steps, including the full legal process, an investigation, and potential discipline from the NFL, as well as meetings with counselors associated with the team before he will ever have the opportunity to wear the burgundy and gold as a player. Senior Vice President of Player Personnel, Doug Williams, said in a statement. Not a great look. Not even close to a great look. Then why'd you pick him up? Like, if you're all about this high and mighty, he's got to follow. Why'd you pick him up? He's got to go through these steps to get help, to get cleared, and then he'll be able to play. And it felt to me like you taking advantage of an opportunity where a guy did something wrong, so a team dropped him, and then you're like, you know what, we'll pick him up just in case it's not true, or just in case he gets off a little easier and he can be back playing for us by the end of the year, or next year he'll be a really great player and everybody will forget about the situation. We'll have a great steal off the waiver wire. Yeah, that's fine. Like, that's fine. If that's what you want to do, do it. But to come out and say we're all about high and mighty and moral standards, unsportsmanlike conduct. Definitely unsportsmanlike conduct. Not buying it. Number 2. Did anybody see the melee of a brawl between the Jags and the Bills last Sunday? Where did that come from? This is where it all started. There was a jump ball in the end zone. I think it was Moncrief who went up for it. Jaguars wide receiver. and he caught the ball, and it was one of those where the defender and the wide receiver both had possession of the ball, and they're like on the ground, and one of them's laying on his back, and the other one's laying on top of him, and they're both just holding the ball, just sitting there holding the ball. So then everybody runs over, and the ref made the call, and I think he called it a touchdown. And he made the call like right away. Like there was no, like in his mind, there was no doubt who had the ball. So he makes the call, and they're still laying there on the ground holding the ball. Just laying there. And so everybody runs over, and now there's pushing, shoving. Fournette's throwing punches at somebody. Jaguars running back Leonard Fournette starts throwing punches. They go like sprawling near the stands. It's a melee. And then they panel the camera back. This is my favorite part. We're probably a good 2 to 3 minutes into this brawl. I mean, pushing, shoving, literally punches being thrown. It was a good melee. Everybody still had their helmets on, which was kind of weak. But other than that, it was a pretty good melee. And then they paneled the camera back, and those two are still laying on the ground with the ball. Like, there's chaos around them. I mean, the most chaos I've seen in an NFL game in a long time. It is a good fight. Chaos. And these two are taking a nap on the ground, holding the football, with a ref sitting there, and you can just see he's telling them, it's a touchdown, get off, it's a touchdown. Like, when the ref makes the call, it doesn't, like, a ref's not going to be like, touchdown, and then 3 minutes later, the defender gets up with the ball, and he's like, oh, never mind, no touchdown. No. I think it turned into a pride thing, like, I'm not going to be the first one to let go of this ball. But it was just chaos. Unsportsmanlike conduct to Moncrief and the defender laying on the ground. Grow up. Gosh, that was really weird. It was because if you guys would have gotten up and gotten in the fight, it would have been 100 times better. Yeah, I'm kind of kidding, but really, am I? Unsportsmanlike conduct. Last but not least, I got to catch my breath. I get fired up. I do it every week. It means I like this thing. Hope you guys like listening to it. Last one, Big Ben. Big Ben Roethlisberger. Oh, Big Ben. Steelers lost a horrible game last Sunday. A game that I don't want to say they needed to win, but if you want to consider yourself serious, you got to start winning some games. And they had a bad loss, really bad loss to Denver Sunday. And Big Ben. Oh, Big Ben. This is his direct quote. I make no apologies for, sometimes those things happen, throwing interceptions. I'm a quarterback, and wow, Matt, learn how to read. I am a quarterback that is going to go out and sling it. You talk about gunslinger or whatever you want to talk about, I'm not going to worry about interceptions. I hate doing them. They bother me, but I'm going to go out and I'm going to play my game and try to help us win football games. Yeah, hard to help you win football games when you throw a horrendous interception at the end of the game to Denver to pretty much seal the game for them. Big Ben is tied for the league in interceptions with 12, tied with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Not great. And then he goes on to say, shoot or shoot. Got to go out there and try to make plays to win the game. Well, do you have to go out there and try to make plays to win the game? Or can you just, give the ball to Juju and Antonio and Connor and Vance McDonald and Rodgers? And can you go give them the ball and let them win the game? Or do you have to go out there and throw it to the other team to help you win the game? Unsportsmanlike conduct, Big Ben. You got to learn how to take care of the football. This is a pretty good Pittsburgh team. But every time you think, okay, they're really good, they show you why they're nowhere near the talent of Kansas City, New England, New Orleans, or L.A. Also, real quick. First, I want to finish this. Unsportsmanlike conduct, Big Ben. You stink.
Now, on unsportsmanlike conduct.
Personal foul, number 15, unsportsmanlike conduct.
That's a horrible call!
All right, real quick before we close up shop, I want to go a little bit into NFL talk, just kind of where we're standing, and look at a couple big games coming up this weekend because there's a couple good ones. Actually, it's a really pretty strong slate. Starting with Thursday night, you got Saints at the Cowboys. It's one of those games where you think, okay, Saints should beat them, but then it's like at Dallas, in Jerry World, weird things happen in Jerry World. Maybe Cowboys defense shows up, keeps this a little bit of a low-scoring game. I already saw that DeMarcus Lawrence was talking a lot of junk about the Saints offensive line and how they were going to go in there and punch him in the mouth. Maybe not the greatest strategy because Drew Brees don't really play those games. He just likes to go out and torch you. I wouldn't have done that, but still could be a really good game. Another good one on the slate. Ravens-Falcons is sneaky good because Lamar Jackson's kind of sneaky good, which is surprising, I would say. Ravens come in at 6-5, Falcons 4-7, but that's a good Atlanta team. They just haven't been able to figure it out. Probably two teams are going to miss the playoffs, but worth to keep an eye on. Bears-Giants. Giants looked good last week. Almost beat Philadelphia, I think. Yeah, almost beat Philadelphia. How about those Bears? I don't know if Mitch is going to play. I think an injury report comes out today. Chase Daniel almost ruined my Thanksgiving, but then he came through and did what every team on Thanksgiving should do to the Lions and just beat them. Beat them pretty good. Eddie Jackson's, he's that dude. I mean, he's the man right now. And living high on life right now. Top of the world, me as a Bears fan. And that normally means it's going to come crashing down. But right now, I'm living in the moment, and I'm looking forward to a playoff run. You heard that. Other good games. Vikings at the Patriots. That's a sneaky good game. 4:25 in Foxborough. Vikings need a win to keep pace with the Bears. And Patriots have been shaky lately, but they're starting to get everybody back healthy, and they're a much different team when they have all those weapons on the outside. Gronk, Edelman, and Sony Michel. Heard that Rex Burkhead was getting ready to come back. I mean, there's a lot to look forward to if you're a Patriots fan. But this is a good test against a Minnesota team that can play some ball too. They had a nice win over Green Bay. Green Bay is now unofficially out of the race, and that makes me happy. And we move on. Chargers-Steelers Sunday night. That's a good game. See what the Steelers are made of. It's a good opponent. Chargers, a good defense and a good offense. And it's going to be exciting to see which way that falls. And then closing out on Monday night, Redskins-Eagles. So another week to kind of shore up those playoff. We're starting to get into like the playoff hunt. Who's in the hunt, who's out. Teams starting to try to wrap up buys and home field advantages. Exciting time of year. All right, root for the Boilers tonight. Taking on Florida State. Got to get the win. Then you got Purdue Saturday against Michigan. 2 tough games. Watch some college football. Championship week. Love it. We'll see what kind of bowl we're sitting at. And we'll be back next week to discuss this Purdue basketball stretch and where the Boilermakers will be playing in the bowl. Thanks for listening. This has been Next Point Wins. My name is Matthew Geely. Enjoy your week, and we'll see you back here next Wednesday at 10 a.m.